Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Welcome back. It's our custom to go around the room and introduce ourselves. My name is Grisha.
My name is Steve.
Brent.
Bob.
I'm David.
Alma.
Stephen. Clint.
Matthew.
Bob.
Ernie.
Hi, Brad. I'm Tom. My name's Cass. Bill.
Jack.
Hi, Richard.
I'm Tony.
Ricky.
Gabriel.
George. Jim. Hi, Fred.
And online we have Ed, Freddie, Daniel, Dennis, Steve, Tyler, John, Frisco, Andres, and Michael to the third power, and Samuel. Welcome, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Victoria Austin, who started practicing Zen in 1971 and is the Dharma heir of the Sojun Mel Weitzman. To help increase the accessibility of Zen practice in the West, she became an Iyengar yoga teacher, and in 1988 she has served in many roles at the San Francisco Zen Center's urban temples and Tassajara alums, including president, head cook, and Tantra best practice. Victoria currently teaches meditation and yoga in diverse settings throughout California and serves as an international teacher of the Soto School. So, welcome, Victoria. Thank you for coming.
I'd like to start with a little bit of a comfort moment and then some stories, okay? And why I want to start with comfort is that today I'd like to talk about what is a posture of peace. So I started talking about this at the beginning of the week. Sorry if there's any repetition. But I'd also like to talk about it now that it's next week. So the first thing is, are you completely comfortable where you're sitting? I just want to ask you, thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, good. So there's many definitions of comfort. I mean, one is just relaxation and ease, and others include balance and kind of the absence of physical difficulty and so on. I just want to point out a little bit of a thing about balance, which is that if you come to the front of whatever you're sitting on and sit on your buttock bones and just have a sense of balance, your digestive area will become more comfortable. You feel what I'm saying? So that sense of balance, even if you have something behind your back, changes things quite a bit. And if the chair's too low and your knees are up, your stomach will be in. And so if the chair's too short for you or too rickety for you, there's lots of pillows and cushions. And get up or change your posture any time that you need to, okay? I'm not going to be insulted if you make yourself at home. Got it? Yeah, okay, thanks. Promise? Take care of yourself? Hold up your right hand and solemnly swear, I will take care of myself, okay? So I want to talk about some people who found a posture of peace. And I specifically want to focus on gay men. Because, hello. Okay, so these are people who had some difficulty in their lives and found a posture of peace. I think it's time for something.
Somebody's timer is going off.
Okay,
Check your phone.
time for enlightenment. Wake up. Did it work? Okay. I think it's over there. Yeah. So the first story I want to tell is about Neil Stansky. So it's you. So Neil was a very young man who used to hang out on Christopher Street in New York. And he was on a journey of self-discovery at a time before people knew the dangers, the risks. So he was like a kid in a candy shop, basically, from the time he was 15 till the time he was about 19, when he discovered that he was HIV positive. And this was in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And so he discovered this, and he went back to his apartment, pulled his quilt over his head, and he couldn't even watch. He just listened to Days of Our Lives for a week. And then he came to California, and we became friends, and he developed this motto called Choose Life. Choose Life. And we went to India together and worked together with BKS Iyengar. He was the first HIV positive person to do that. And there were no drugs. There was no medicine. But the yoga helped him, and he came back from the brink of death. And the last weekend of his life, he was in Ward 5 at Davies, and his nurse was named George. And so he said, "George, I need a ride on your motorbike." And he convinced George to take him to Chinatown, where they went and got dim sum, which he inhaled, literally inhaled, because he couldn't actually eat it. And he went home and played with his Abyssinians, because he bred Abyssinians. And then he passed away. And Neil found his posture of peace during that whole time. And so the quilt square that some friends and I made for him, we had bought, he and I had chosen, and another friend named Janet bought a sari, which was an incredible shade of teal blue, like radiant. And then I got a lot of sequins on strings and some other, like purple silk and stuff. We did a purple Abyssinian and a picture of him in a backbend with his toe pointing up to the ceiling, and big glittery "Choose Life" everywhere. His posture of peace was choosing life. Okay, another man named George Gajewski was a very long-term survivor, so he was diagnosed about the same time. And George's posture of peace was airplanes. He loved airplanes. So George developed an airline for himself on the internet with its own logo and its own uniforms, and he was a captain. And his friends all participated in this, including me. And he made us promise to sing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow if ever his Tibetan medicine didn't work out for him anyway. He survived without medicine for 25 years. Just saying. A third young man, whose name I won't mention because he was a minor when all this happened, discovered that he was gay, and his parents were Mexican Catholics, with a very strong family culture and a very strong Catholic culture, and they kicked him out, and he couch surfed for 6 months. And then my downstairs neighbor, Tia, decided that she was going to be a foster parent. I don't know if you know that gay foster parents rank among the most caring and compassionate foster parents in San Francisco. The statistics were actually studied. This person is now a social worker, helping other people. So he found his posture of peace. These were people who were in extreme circumstances. There are other people who were not in extreme circumstances, but who helped other people who were find their own posture of peace. So, if it's okay to talk about it, I was in a really bad accident. So I was taking some people out to lunch at Chaya on 18th and Valencia, and I found a parking place right in front of Chaya, which that never happens. It never happens. So I was doing a happy dance and gloating when these guys dropped their construction wall. They were renovating a restaurant right next door to Chaya and dropped their construction wall on my head and back. And then not too long after that, an SUV ran me over while I was trying to get to my last surgeon appointment. It was not good. Really not good. And Richard made soup. Richard, close your ears for a second, okay? Richard is a chef. He's a really good one. And he made enough soup. That soup was the only thing I could eat. I had a lot of injuries. And it wasn't just the soup, which was delicious, but somebody caring like that. I still have one of the containers. So it was just like these plastic containers with blue plastic tops. I still have one of the tall containers that you package your soup in. So thank you very much. You helped me find my posture of peace. My posture of peace was, he cares. He cares. Now I can go on. He cares. Sorry about the tears. But, yeah, somebody to share with, someone who cares. So there are many ways to find a posture of peace. Posture of peace came up when a friend of mine, Christina Lanehair, who used to be the abbess at San Francisco Zen Center, said that love is not a feeling. It's an internal posture of peace. An internal posture of peace. She said the feeling dissipates. Oh, actually, it was someone speaking of this who said the internal feeling of love dissipates. But the posture of peace that we develop with ourselves and others lasts for a lifetime and for every circumstance. And so I want to say that the people I mentioned, their posture of peace lasted. The posture of peace does not depend on having a good posture or a good physical condition. So a friend of mine, Brian, was also at the end of his life, and like some of the other people in these stories, and he went into kidney failure, and I was visiting him because that's been part of my practice since I was ordained in 1982, is to visit somebody who's sick and dying, and that practice got even stronger after the soup. And so Brian called me. I didn't know what was going on, and he said, I've been diagnosed with kidney failure. I've been given a week. Could you help me learn yoga? And I went, but what are you going to say? No? Right? So I said, sure. And I felt like, you know, the miller's daughter in Rumpelstiltskin, where the king says that he's going to interview young women and the best one is going to be the queen. And the miller wants his daughter to be part of this and goes to the king and says, I've got a daughter and she can spin straw into gold. Okay, so then the king goes, yeah. And he locks the girl up in a tower and fills the tower room full of straw from the floor to the ceiling and says, spin this into gold by morning If you don't, you die. If you do, you're queen. And anyway, the moment when the door gets locked and she's in the room with the straw going, oh no. That's what I felt like with Brian. I felt like Brian is asking me to spin straw into gold, and if I don't, he dies. And if I do, we get the gold ring. And so what I did was I trained his nurse in pillow arrangement so that his body could be upright, open, and deep as he was lying there. I trained him in different ways of supporting his legs in different postures, because a wide posture with the legs and a narrow posture is quite different in its impact on the breath. And he did. He sat in silence for 7 days. Maybe around the third day, he asked if we could bring in a Catholic priest to give him the final rites. And we did, brother of a friend of mine. And then the 6th day, he said, thank you. And he smiled. It wasn't very complicated. He just wanted to be with himself so he could do his work. And this is actually the question for all of us. Our posture of peace is one in which we can do our work, and we don't expect other people to be responsible for our work. Posture of peace is one in which we are able to be with the most important thing in life, whatever that is to us. Suzuki Roshi used to talk about our inmost request. So what is the posture of peace now, today? Our world is at war. People are being persecuted for being who they are. They're being kidnapped and dumped. We're in economic danger. We're in danger from pollutants and disease. And it's a really unsettled situation that, sad to say, either we're directly involved in, we're colluding, or we're condoning if we don't actually find our own posture of peace. There's 3 ways to be evil, right? There's directly being evil, so doing evil things. There's colluding with evil, which means like buying products that are the product of evil or helping evil manifest in the world. And then there's condoning evil, which is when we don't do something about it. But just, so this is a real question, like for a military person, for instance, what is my posture, our posture of peace if we're in the military is to fulfill our oath, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and not to be pushed around by other things. But the consequences of being at peace with our oath, with one's oath as a military person, and I've spoken with many in the past few months, is that if a military person acts according to his or her conscience, they face consequences, huge consequences. They can be court-martialed for obeying their vow. If they're constantly balancing on a knife edge in that way. So there's a whole dialogue going on that we might not be privy to, but it is going on in this country. And so for a person in the military who's taken that oath, doing direct harm would be killing people unnecessarily or doing things that are unnecessarily violent. Colluding with harm means following illegal orders. And condoning harm means not speaking out. But the consequences for not following orders and not speaking and for speaking out are very high. And I think that's getting more and more true in our society, and has always been true for those of us who always lived on the cusp of danger. So just let's take a breath, because this is hard. How do we act in the world, and what keeps us true? What keeps us true to ourselves? Our real intention in life, our real sense of intimacy, our real sense of purpose, our real sense of peace. What is our internal posture from which or with which we can manifest love in the world? That's a question, not a teaching. I'm not wiser in this. It takes all of us to understand this. And because it takes all of us to understand this, I want to just stop here and ask for comments or questions. I have a prepared lecture, pages and pages. Here it is. Here it is. See? Pages. Okay, so what about this interests you? What do you want to bring up and go into any deeper, or do you? If there's something that would interest you more, let me know, and I'll go there. And you don't have to raise your hand; just speak if you wish.
See the doorway of equanimity. It's interesting you being a carpenter, right? I mean, I don't know if that's part of your bio.
Architecture and urban planning. I built banks. Yeah.
So that sense of
That's okay. I'll repeat.
well,
Built.
And this is improv, right?
Improv.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the whole idea of grounding, right?
The idea of finding a foundation and grounding. Yes.
In oneself, and the equanimity not only towards others but of oneself. So there's a lot of self-compassion.
Self-compassion, self-inquiry. Yes.
Awareness in that
Yes.
sense. So that posture of peace seems to be like a cornerstone of a structure of being out into the world and to being in action.
So wait a second. The posture of peace seems to be a cornerstone of being out in the world and of action. Yes, I couldn't agree more. You want to sit here? And we'll keep going.
I'll just point to the ground.
You'll just point to the ground like the Buddha. Yeah. Do you know that story? When the Buddha was about to get enlightened, he had been through 6 years of struggles, been an ascetic, gone to extremes, realized it was a mistake, sat down and, decided, no, that was extreme. I'm going to wash in the river. I'm going to get food. Said yes to food, ate. His buddy said, you jerk, you betrayer, you creep, and deserted him. Then he sat down under the Bodhi tree, and immediately the problems started. So he was assailed by self-doubt, which is personified as Mara in the sutras. So Mara basically said, what right do you have to do this? You don't have any witnesses or allies. I have millions of allies. I have allies anywhere there's people. He was the god of deceit, right? And the Buddha said, the earth is my witness. And the earth shook 6 ways. And the Buddha kept going. Thank you. Okay, keep it. So yeah, that posture of peace is the foundation. It's a cornerstone. And for us, the cornerstone of the posture of peace that's built. So the spine of the posture of peace is our deep intention. But the foundation of the posture of peace is knowing where is being grounded in our vulnerable humanity. And particularly in the ways in which we fail particularly in all the knowledge that life ends. So all the stuff that we really don't want to pay much attention to. If it's okay with you, I'll give a guided meditation that I gave on Wednesday about things we hate. Do you mind? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If it's triggering, don't do it. If you start feeling triggered, stop and visualize something really pleasant like, lunch. Okay, so this particular meditation has a lot to do with my work with Dave Rico, who sometimes comes here to the Gay Buddhist Fellowship. So he wrote the book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships. And Dave and I have been teaching about love and power together for many years. So this exercise is based on a traditional Buddhist understanding of the preliminaries or the foundation of stable contemplation, which is know yourself. So, just for a second, you can close your eyes if you need to. Ask yourself about the conflict or situation in which you feel yourself in danger of reacting unwholesomely. You got it? Anyone need more time?
Could you just repeat that?
Yeah, if you one in which you're kind of on the edge of acting unwholesomely, like for instance, if your roommate consistently uses your toothpaste and squeezes it in the middle and leaves it in the bathroom so that it goes all over the counter. That's kind of the level. You don't want something like a political figure you disagree with or divorce. Okay, don't do that. Let's not go there. Let's do something easier. Okay, so a situation or conflict in which you feel yourself in danger of tippiness. So stable contemplation means that we establish a safe environment outside and in. So let's look at what's come to live in our heart. That phrase, what has come to live in our heart, is all Dave. That's Dave's phrase. So major examples of possibilities of unwholesome reaction, and you can refine your understanding, is if you feel like revenging yourself or you feel like retaliating. And so we're going to look at to what extent we've built an inner house for revenge and retaliation, which are kind of the basic forms of angry reactivity. So I'm going to give you some questions. Speak up?
Yeah.
Okay, I will. Can you hear me?
Better, yeah.
Okay. How many times a day and with what intensity do thoughts or fantasies of revenge or retaliation arise, based on facts or assumptions that you have, accompanied by a feeling of anger, frustration, or rage? How many times a day, with what intensity does that come up? And how many times a day, a month, a week, or a year are you expressing anger about this situation, either to yourself or to somebody else? What kind of support or non-support do you get from yourself or from them? In this situation, what arguments do you make in favor of revenge, retaliation, or a personal bent to justice? Revenge, retaliation, or your idea of justice? To whom do you make these arguments? About what or whom do you make these arguments? And to what extent have you identified opponents or enemies? To what extent do you repeat yourself in thinking about what they stand for? To what extent have you equipped yourself to put your argument about revenge into action, whether it's words or physical action? And so structural supports of revenge and retaliation. How do you keep score? How do you keep score? Who or what do you dislike or hate in this situation? And how much do you dislike or hate them? What do you dislike or hate about them? And what icons do you hold up for yourself in your mind that stand for this feeling about them? Thoughts or fantasies, arguments about identification of opponents and possible actions. What do you hate? What stands for this that makes it come up more often? Okay, so open your eyes. And I would like to make a difference between the person who dispassionately looks at this and dispassionately and kindly looks at this and the activity of revenge. So when you dispassionately looked at it with compassion for yourself, that is the building block of the foundation of appropriate response. Do you understand? So I was asking you to look out there at this thing, but what actually is important about that is the person who looks. So if you would just take a moment to just identify that person and give them some love, you've just created a building block of the posture of love. Do you understand? So that you're actually addressing what torments you about this situation. You're addressing what you're attached to and what stands for that for you. You're finding out what you need to be delivered from, what you need to change, what you need to think, say, or do to really take care of yourself. When you look at this dispassionately and loving the person who cares, whether you lose yourself in revenge or hatred, or whether you don't. That is the solid foundation of the posture of love, which you build all the time, but now I want to call it out as a good thing to do and as something that the Buddha did. So I just want to say one more thing, which is the Buddha's teaching about this, one of his very first teachings in Dhammapada, that all things, all experiences come from the mind, are rooted in mind, grow from the mind, and are expressed through mind. If a person speaks or acts with unclear mind, bitter grief pursues them, like the wheel follows the foot of the draft ox. And all things come forth from mind, are born in mind, build themselves up from mind, and express through mind. If a person speaks or acts with clear mind, joy, happiness, peace follow, like a shadow that never leaves. He beat me, he abused me, he defeated me, he robbed me. A person who thinks this way will not be free from hate. She beat me, she abused me, she defeated me, she robbed me. A person who does not think this way will be free from hate. Hate is not defeated by hate. Hate is defeated by love. This is an eternal law. So thank you for this question. This is important. What is the foundation? What is the intention that that supports the growth of all the words, the acts that we do as part of that come forth from a posture of love, an internal posture of love. And anyone who meets us, anyone who meets a person who has built an internal posture of love and doesn't just rely on momentary feelings as guidance, anyone who meets us is impacted by us, cooperates with this, supports this, and makes direct action to find the posture of love in themselves. It's contagious. It goes viral because this is how we want to be. So thank you for the question. It's important. Thank you. Really important question. Thank you. You do not have to raise your hand. You could just...
I'm curious about the concept of safety within this practice. I know this is very broad.
Yes.
That's sort of how big the question is, yeah.
Conscious about the concept of safety in this practice. So the first thing I said is if you get triggered by this, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. But on the other hand, as soon as I mentioned it, it would start working.
Yeah.
But it would work in safe ways.
Yeah.
So intensity is important, or lightness. A light touch is important. But also having support. So there are many things that come up in situations that we don't like. So let's just look at our emotion, how to have safety with emotions of anger, fear, and grief. Okay, so let's start with anger, which has developed over millions of years. So the questions about how much are you prepared to put it into action tell you how unsafe you are, right? And then you can get help. It's like Ulysses binding him, having his friends bind him to the mast of the ship and stick wax in his ears as the sirens go, come over here, dude, yeah, jump in the water, we love you, delusion, right? So he ties himself to the mast for safety. And when we know what the danger is, we know what we need. That's interesting. So anger has developed over millions of years to tell us what we need and we're not getting. I need this and I'm not getting it. Okay? Or ways that people have transgressed our boundaries. Or ways in which we've been disrespected. Right? And so instead of getting lost in the anger and pushed around by its energy, let's realize that that energy is a valuable resource that we could actually use to change ourselves or the situation, right? If we don't let it be boss. And it's not like, I won't let it be boss, I won't let it be boss, I won't. That doesn't work. But instead, if we ask ourselves, the safety is, what do I need, and can I take steps to get it? What's respect, and can I take steps to expect it? What are my boundaries, and can I take steps to divulge them and to get help to maintain them? When we do that, we'll find that our anger is now safely held. And that the energy, which before was pushing us around, now becomes available to actually take action. The first thing is maybe we have to tie ourselves to a mast. But, depriving ourselves of an opportunity to respond, that doesn't last long as a viable option. For sadness, what we need is time. For grieving, what we need is time and soup. Right? And for fear, what we need is support. So after the accidents, I was really, I had multiple traumatic brain injury. So I remember standing on a street corner and I stuck my toe out to cross the street and then I went, I can't. Right? Because that's how the accident happened. And there was a guy kind of standing at the corner next to me, and this was really hard to do. I had to turn to him and I had to say, and I really didn't want to, but I had to, would you help me cross the street? And then I thought to myself, oh God, really? I have to ask someone to help me cross a street? And then a wiser voice inside me said, you bet you have to ask. You have to ask. First step, cross the street with help. Second step, cross the street with someone not holding on to you but next to you. Third step, cross the street with someone on the other side. Fourth step, try it yourself. Right? So that's what fear is asking of us. Anger, sadness, and fear have messages for us that it creates safety. Allies create safety. Gay, Buddhist, just saying, right? Allies create safety, right? Pride creates safety. Having a flag, or actually 10 flags, creates safety, right? That creates safety. They're symbols of a posture of peace. The flag says, there's this and this and this and this and this, and this and this and this and this and this, and there's also this and this and this and this and this, and they're all okay. I support all of them. And look at what they make all together. That's what the flag says. Look at what this makes. Wow. It makes beauty that didn't exist until we thought of this. This is its emblem. Okay? This is important. That's safety. So, I don't know about time. How am I doing? How are we
You're
doing?
doing great. We maybe have time for another comment or question or two. Excellent.
I have a question for you.
Well, we have two questions, two quick ones, okay?
I was wondering in the story about asking someone to help across the street, if at any point you felt gratitude both to that person and to yourself for having had the courage to do that.
I certainly did.
Good.
And I certainly do. And I actually wrote to him and thanked him, and I cared enough about the story to use it as a Dharma example in a lecture years and years later. Thank you. Good question.
I was thinking about purpose in life as you were talking about posture of peace, but I wasn't sure if that's related or if I'm thinking it wrong, because I pondered about that question in my 20s about like why am I here? What is life about? Or like is there something that I need to do before I die?
Thank you.
I don't know if because then they talk about security and then you talked about these emotions, so I'm like, maybe I'm not understanding.
Okay, give this man a round of applause. Purpose in life is something we need to consider every moment. So just very quickly, there are three truths or three kinds of ways to live that gives life in Buddhist practice that are taught as part of the practice. One is ultimate, one is relative or historical, and one is skillful. Ultimate means the big picture that goes beyond individual existence. Relative or historical means the generations of our family, our chosen family, or something that we care about and are pursuing. And skillful means we know when to ratchet back and forth between ultimate and relative. for a sense of meaning and purpose. This question of what do I really want to do? Who am I really? Or just, when we sit, who am I, or even who? Big, it's called a koan in Zen. I'll leave you with it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's time for announcements. You hear from the host.
Hi, I'm the host today, so please stay and enjoy the company of the Sangha. There are some vegan treats and some cheese as well. And let's see, there's hot water for tea, so make yourself some tea, and when you're finished, just leave your cup in the sink and I'll take care of cleaning it. I'll be coming around with a Dawn bowl. Dawn is the Hollywood of generosity, that your generosity will help the Sangha meet its needs, pay for the rent for the space, and down to our speakers. It pays for the newsletter that goes out quarterly, mostly to people who are incarcerated. And it helps subsidize scholarships for people who are attending our retreats, so that cost is not a hampering factor for people to participate. There's a sign-up sheet on the credenza, and if you'd like to be added to our directory, and just fill out the information that you're willing to share with the group. Around 12:30, some people go out to lunch together, and everybody's welcome to join. They gather at the front door around 12:30.
Thanks.
One of the other things we do, I know most of you are familiar with this, is we do once a month we do a dinner for a homeless shelter on Larkin Street. Well, it's on Elm Street. It's called Larkin Street. I don't think I can explain you that. So just call them volunteers. I think people who do it find a rewarding experience. This is Mediterranean and food. Saturday of every month, typically. Sometimes we have to change around to schedule conflicts. And just devote maybe 3 or 4 hours of your time, just helping prepare a meal. I'm trying to do a meal that it's comfort food that the residents there will enjoy. And it's a center that's just for young people. I think we call it age of 22. So you get a lot of this youthful energy there. It could be a fun experience. So if that's something you feel like you want to do, or interested in doing, we definitely could use more volunteers to sign up. Just contact me outside and I'll get your contact information. I think it's Clint.
Thank you, Clint. Richard?
Yeah, I just want to say we still have space at our annual spring retreat at Vajrapani, April 15th and 19th. Sean Oaks is going to be our teacher. It's the third time he's doing it because he's so terrific. We wanted him back and back and back. So all the information is on our website. Scholarships are available. And I would say that it's been a really wonderful retreat, and we'd love to have you. And it's open to all queer people, however you identify. It's important.
Thank you.
You don't have to be queer.
Yes. Last June, GBF gave me the opportunity to share my passion for two of the great influences in my life, Shakespeare and the Dharma, and a talk that I put together called Shakespeare Dharma. And it was so well received that I decided to develop it more, and I'm going to be performing it, it's a talk. I could call it a talk because that way I get to use notes. But at Burden Beckett Books and Records in 2 weeks from today at 5 p.m. Burden Beckett Books and Records in Glen Park. And then also, I will be returning for part 2 of Shakespeare Dharma here or I like to call it the Bride of Shakespeare Dharma, which will be in Memorial Day weekend, and it's more kind of specifically designed for ourselves. But $20 suggested donation. I'll leave this flyer out there if you want to take down any information from it. No one turned away for lack of funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay. Would you like to offer dedication of merit, or would you like us to use
I'd like to use the one that's usually used here because everybody knows it, right?
Well.
Or,
We can read it.
that's a good thing, though.
Okay.
Yeah, reading is okay. Okay.
Yeah.
By the power and truth of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be freed from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all never be separated from the sacred happiness which is without sorrow. And may all live in equanimity without too much attachment or too much aversion, believing in the equality of all that lives.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.